Across Bronx's out-of-control traffic jam, U.S. interstate highways, are you prepared to enter the mayhem? Learn the inside story of the mysterious Cross-Bronx Expressway in New York City. What's the cause of the extreme congestion on this road? And what does it reveal about the difficulties of traffic management on U.S. interstates? One of the most well-known cities not only in the United States but also in the entire world is New York City. It's a lovely city that is full of options, and as a result, it is attracting an increasing number of residents as well as visitors each year because it is home to more than 8 million people. The city never sleeps and is always bustling with activity. A city as busy as New York is sure to have significant amounts of traffic and roadways that are heavily clogged with congestion. Heavy traffic is irritating and stressful, and it can lead to collisions. New York City also boasts the longest traffic bottleneck in the United States, Bronx Expressway. It's common knowledge that the Cross-Bronx Expressway in New York City is notoriously unpopular due to the persistent congestion that it experiences. This significant freeway, which is part of Interstate 95, travels all the way through the Bronx borough. It's an important transportation corridor that connects New York City, New England, New Jersey, and other locations further south. Over 140,000 cars, of which 25% are trucks, utilize it on a daily basis. Yet its 6-lane structure is unable to handle the huge demand that is placed upon it, which results in frequent gridlock and irritating waits for those drivers. The building of the expressway was met with significant opposition, as it resulted in the uprooting of thousands of families and the loss of their homes. It's widely held that influential city planner Robert Moses made a conscious decision to select a path that would have disproportionately negative impact on residents of lower socioeconomic status and contribute to the urban degradation in the South Bronx. The construction. The building of the Cross-Bronx Expressway was met with a great deal of controversy and criticism. As a direct consequence of the project, several people lost their homes and had to relocate. Between 1948 to 1972, city designer Robert Moses oversaw the construction of the first freeway in the United States to run through a heavily populated urban region. Thousands of people were uprooted from their homes and their lives were turned upside down when hundreds of houses had to be demolished to make way for the Cross-Bronx Expressway. The expressway not only forced people out of their homes, but it also destroyed neighborhoods, removed social ties, and lowered the standard of living for many. Some have claimed that the path picked out of all the possibilities was an intentional attempt to cause as much damage to the Tremont neighborhood as possible. The construction of the expressway not only lowered the market value of surrounding residences, but also compelled many of the locals to move into less desirable conditions. The contentious history of the Cross-Bronx Expressway highlights the need to carefully evaluate the potential effects of large-scale infrastructure projects on local communities. Robert Moses, a famous urban planner, was instrumental in deciding where the Cross-Bronx Expressway would go. Moses had a significant impact on the building of New York City's infrastructure, and he is often remembered for the controversy surrounding his methods. From 1934 until 1968, he served as a city planner and was instrumental in implementing various large-scale projects such as roadways, bridges, parks, and public housing. To improve transportation and trade across the New York City boroughs, Moses envisioned the Cross-Bronx Expressway as a key connection from the George Washington Bridge to New England and Long Island. Moses rejected alternative plans and insisted on the significance of his selected route as he pushed for the construction of the expressway despite resistance from citizens and local leaders in the Bronx. However, there were serious repercussions to Moses' decision to build the Cross-Bronx Expressway through heavily populated regions. Thousands of people had to leave their houses because of it, and the South Bronx eventually fell into despair. As a result, Moses' detractors say he consciously made decisions that exasperated economic and social disparities, particularly among low-income groups. Robert Moses' greatest involvement in establishing the urban landscape of New York City is reflected in his substantial influence in selecting the path of the Cross-Bronx Expressway, but the lasting social and environmental repercussions of his decisions are also highlighted. Decline in property value. Real estate values in the South Bronx fell precipitously as a direct result of the construction of the Cross-Bronx Expressway, a major motorway in New York City. Thousands of people were forced to leave their homes in the Bronx as hundreds of homes were demolished to make way for the expressway. which was built between 1948 and 1972. The neighborhood suffered as a result of the disruption to the community and the subsequent displacement of residents to poor living conditions. The result was a drop in South Bronx real estate prices. The construction of the freeway and the resulting urban deterioration rendered the area less attractive to potential inhabitants and investors. Property values in the South Bronx have fallen due to a number of factors, including physical deterioration, a lack of investment, and social problems. There have been continuous initiatives to rebuild the neighborhood, with a focus on reuniting communities and mitigating the destructive effects of the Cross Bronx Expressway. But the South Bronx still feels the effects of its construction on urban deterioration and property values. Overcrowding problem. There are two main causes for the constant traffic on the Cross Bronx Expressway: the massive population of New York City and the scarcity of alternate routes. With over 20 million people calling it home, the demand for transportation infrastructure in the nation's largest metro area is enormous. The Cross Bronx Expressway, like many other important roads in the city, often becomes gridlocked due to the city's high population density. The Cross Bronx Expressway is also unique in that it is just one of two expressways in the city, the other being the Brooklyn-Queens Expressway in the south. Due to its location along Interstate 95, the city is an important transportation hub for commodities traveling between New York, New England, New Jersey, and the southern states. 6 lanes can't handle the volume of traffic on this route, and it becomes clogged up fast. It's true that there are alternate roads available, such as I-278 and I-287, but they typically have even worse traffic and take much longer to travel. As a result, the Cross Bronx Expressway bears the brunt of the city's traffic, because that's the only route most vehicles can take. Endeavor. The Cross Bronx Expressway is undergoing modernization to alleviate congestion and improve air quality. In order to mitigate the expressway's unintended consequences, a study has been launched using money from the new infrastructure law. Capping the highway's below-grade section is one option because it would create more usable area above ground. A secondary goal of this plan is to reunite communities that were split apart during the expressway's development due to pollution and noise. By the end of the study in 2024, researchers want to have a blueprint for making these adjustments the highway's cap. Though it is expected to cost about $757 million, it's acknowledged that finding other routes for the enormous number of traffic would be impractical, despite the fact that more radical proposals have been proposed, such as eliminating the highway entirely. In spite of these difficulties, the continued efforts to update the Cross Bronx Expressway show a dedication to bettering transportation infrastructure and the quality of life for residents in the affected districts. Okay guys, that's the Cross Bronx Expressway. What's your take on driving in the Bronx? Do you know there's a way to reduce traffic? Comment below and let us know. For more, hit the like button and subscribe to our channel.